Pro Football Talk, NBC Sports. His book, Playmakers, How the NFL Really Works and Doesn't. Mike, we probably have this discussion in the middle of September every single year, but do you think teams might change their philosophy in the preseason moving forward? As you look now back at the Week 1 results and you noticed a lot of the teams that sat their starters, they really played poorly on Sunday.
Well, and this is just part of the balance that every team has to strike every year, because if you play your starters and you put them at risk of injury and they do get injured, then you get grilled relentlessly by fans and media for getting your players injured before Week 1. And then if you don't play them and you try to get them ready in other ways and they're not ready, then you get criticized. I think that the teams that are careful are likely going to continue to be careful, because the reality is, now that we're into the season, the train keeps rolling down the track. There's a new one every week. And you're going to get better on the fly like the Patriots do. They always treat September now as kind of the extended preseason, and they're going to become the team they eventually will be in October, November, December. And I think the teams that start slowly, that's the challenge. The problem is, for some of these teams, you start slowly enough, and Chris Sims explains this, the vibe in a building when 0-1 becomes 0-2, becomes 0-3, the pressure that increases, the importance of getting that first win and how it drags everyone down. So bottom line, I think that coaches would prefer to still not be second-guessed if they get guys injured in the preseason, but there is value in having your guys ready. Look at Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yep.
And they got 2 games in 5 days, and they're going to be ready to go on Thursday night against the Chargers.
Yep. You mentioned the game, too, and it's intriguing with New England taking on Pittsburgh, and you want to give Belichick the benefit of the doubt, but this horror show here with the play calling and Patricia, it was ugly against Miami. Who do you think wins that game? And also the Steelers off the big win, and they got some good news with the injury news.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is they're not going to have T.J. Watt out for the season, but he's not going to be back for a while, so they're going to have to make it work without him. Typically, the Steelers have been okay against the Patriots at home in the regular season. It's the postseason where the Patriots have taken care of them on 2 different occasions. But I worry about the Patriots, and we do give Bill Belichick the benefit of the doubt, and he probably has a big stack of chips that he can play as long as he wants and never be in any danger in Boston with ownership of the fans. But I don't know how long this lasts. I don't know how I mean, really, but let's ask ourselves this question, because we've never done this before. What kind of a grace period do you get for 6 Super Bowl championships? We saw Robert Kraft, the owner of the team, publicly express his lament that it's been 3 years since they've won a playoff game.
Right.
He said that in March. And it's probably going to be 4 years unless they really can get better on the fly this year. And look, we saw it last year. They did get better on the fly, but they got blown out in the postseason. I just think that we need to, and we say about players all the time, it's what have you done for me lately? And actually it's what are you doing for me right now? And what are you going to do for me tomorrow? That's the standard that applies to players. So why doesn't it apply to coaches? Why is it that because Bill Belichick has won 6 Super Bowls, he's got a lifetime pass and he can hire all of his kids, even if they shouldn't be working for the New England Patriots or maybe any other NFL team? Who knows? Who knows if any other team would hire them? But wouldn't they be better off not working on his staff? Because I think that's the root of a lot of the problems there. He can't fire them. He can't fire other people on the staff who maybe need to go. He's got a collection of former assistants he's brought back who failed elsewhere as head coaches. And he's saying, blame me, it's my responsibility, because he knows he's got the equity built up, that he is multiple years away from being on the hot seat. So I just think it's fair to apply to Bill Belichick the same standard that he would apply to one of his players. I think that's fair.
You know, he's also 70 years old, and the Bills are going to be good for the foreseeable future, and the AFC is absolutely loaded. And if they're not going to be a playoff team, or if it's going to be difficult, like how long does he realistically want to hang around anyway?
Well, and that's a great question. And he recently addressed the fact that at one point he said he's not going to be like Marv Levy and coaching into his 70s. Well, that's easy to say until you are in your 70s. Mm-hmm. And for Bill Belichick, coaching football has become so much a part of his identity. I don't know what he would do next. And obviously, if the Patriots would push him out, if they would decide to move on, number one, who do you move on to? Number two, somebody would snatch Bill Belichick just because he's Bill Belichick, and he would instantly have another job, just like Mike Tomlin. Every once in a while, Steelers fans get up in arms when the Steelers lose a few games in a row. It's like, be careful what you wish for, because Tomlin will – I mean, there are teams out there that would fire Mike Tomlin or fire their current head coach to hire Mike Tomlin. So I just think that the Patriots are in a tough spot now, and I think the Steelers will win this weekend, and the Patriots fall to 0-2. And again, we've never seen this. We don't know how long they'll put up with Bill Belichick not being a highly successful coach. And, there's been talk in the past that maybe at some point he'll go be a VP of football operations and wear a suit and sit in the luxury suite with ownership. I don't know that any former coach can do that effectively. We've seen some try, but it's such a part of who he is now. I can't see him ever retiring from football.
Good transition here, and also great timing that you're on, because you wrote about this in your book, Playmakers, but Sean Payton is out there, and assuming Dak misses 6 to 8 weeks, their season's over. Does Jerry go out there and get this done and bring in Payton next year, because they're not going to go anywhere this year?
Well, this is going to be his last chance to get Sean Payton, because it's clear that Payton's available. There's been reporting about teams that he would be interested in, and there are teams out there that I think have to already be thinking about him. Hey, look, if you're the Broncos, if you're the new ownership of the Broncos, and you've got a head coach who made one of the dumbest decisions that we've ever seen, to kick a 64-yard field goal instead of letting your franchise quarterback, for whom you gave up a ton of draft picks and a big old truck full of money, you don't let him convert that play and make it a kick that has a better than 10% chance at best of going through, and Sean Payton's available, and you have unlimited resources. And remember, the Saints were one of the teams that Russell Wilson was willing to accept a trade to in 2021 because Sean Payton was there. I think that if Jerry wants him, he better move now, because somebody is going to pursue Sean Payton, and he will be back next year. And as we wrote in Playmakers, it was a day away from happening in early 2019 with Jason Garrett out and Sean Payton in. And so we know he's been on Jerry's radar screen. And whether they have Dak Prescott gone for 8 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, I think the Cowboys aren't going to be good enough to save Mike McCarthy, especially if Jerry thinks he can get Sean Payton.
Yep.
Visit VEASAN.com to get current odds, listen for free, find showtimes, and download VEASAN sports betting podcasts.